Greetings, welcome to W8U5 Criterion 5 Faculty Information. In the last unit, we understood the SCR Criterion 4 on students' performance. The outcome of this unit is understand SCR requirements of Criterion 5 Faculty Information. So, this criterion is concerned with faculty information. We will see later that the criterion regarding faculty contributions is separate in this. In the earlier SCR, the faculty information and contributions of faculty were all clubbed together in one criterion. But here the faculty information and contributions of the faculty have been separated out into two separate criteria. This criterion is primarily faculty information. Again, a lot of data is required for this, and in general, for any data that you provide or claim, there must be documentary evidence. That is a general statement that we can take. Okay, and this criterion, its sub-criteria, the required processes, the exhibits are all same for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 institute. The same caveat applies regarding Tier 2. Please keep checking the NBA website. All evaluations are based on the data provided in the SCR. So, one must take good care to ensure that the data is correct, up to date and backed up by relevant documentary evidence. And in case there have been some changes in the data from the time the SCR was submitted to the time that the visiting team has come, have the latest data available, have copies of that available to provide to the visiting committee. There is no harm, and it does happen sometimes that there are changes in factual information, but at the time the SCR was submitted, whatever data is provided must be current on that date and up to date, and it must have good adequate documentary evidence. And if there are changes at the time of the visit, provide the latest information valid on that date with adequate documentary evidence. The total marks for this are 100, same for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 institutes. And there are 5 sub-criteria under this. 5.1 student-faculty ratio, 30 marks. 5.2 faculty qualifications, 25 marks. Faculty cadre proportion, 5.3, 25 marks again. Visiting adjunct faculty professors of practice, 10 marks. Then finally 5.5 faculty retention, 10 marks. So, a total of 100 marks is available here. First is faculty details. This must have full documentary evidence to back up everything. So, it includes all the details regarding the faculty, including the name, PAN number and APAR ID, which is probably many institutes have not yet implemented, but if it is available, we will see presently what is this APAR and all. It is an initiative of the government, Ministry of Education to have greater transparency with respect to the faculty. Then the highest degree and the university from which it was obtained, area of specialization, date of joining the institute. That is very important because it shows for how much period the faculty member is with the institute. Then experience in years in the current institute. Then designation at the time of joining the institution and present designation. Both are important because it shows the progress of the faculty member within the institution. Then the date on which designated as a professor or associate professor, if any, like if the person has joined as an assistant professor and on some date the person has become associate, then what is the date? And then subsequently if he has become again a professor, what is the date, like that. And then nature of association, whether it is a regular appointment or contractual or ad hoc appointment, that is also indicated. And if contractual, mention full-time or part-time or hourly basis. This distinction is important because as we will see later, if it is an hourly basis appointment, that appointment or that person would not be counted in the faculty. That is very important. Hourly basis, we will see presently those guidelines. Hourly basis is normally to be discouraged, but however sometimes it becomes necessary. So, we do appoint based on this criterion, hourly basis, but it is very important to show that distinction. Then whether currently that faculty member is still associated with the institute, then date of leaving if any, in case the currently associated column indicates no, that means that faculty member is right now not associated with the institute, then date of leaving you have to provide. And notice for all this you must have supporting document evidence. For each faculty member, in fact, we have to maintain a separate file and that file should show all these details. So, provide, these are the notes for that, provide details of the faculty in the department and allied departments. Again, this is a new feature in the new SAR that we consider not only the department, but the allied departments which we have seen under criterion 4. So, if computer science in engineering is a department and it has an allied department, information science in engineering, the data of that department is also included. So, the cumulative information for all the 3 academic years starting from the current academic year in the specified format. And non-engineering programs like MCA or BCA or any other kind of a program, BSc for example, if they are being run in the department or allied departments, please do not include the data of such programs in this data. Those programs must have adequate faculty to run those programs successfully. So, programs such as MCA, BCA, other non-engineering programs running in the department or allied departments need to have sufficient faculty members to support those programs. These faculty members should not be included in the above said table 5A. What we have just indicated in that table, the data pertains to only the engineering programs in the department as well as the allied departments. All the faculty, whether regular or contractual, will be considered. This is the point I mentioned, but part-time or hourly based will not be considered. If the person is a contractual person, under what conditions that person will be counted, we will see those conditions, but that is okay to have contractual faculty as long as those conditions are met. All regular faculty members shall meet the AICTE qualifications and experience requirements, even a contractual faculty. If the person is a professor, then the required qualifications and experience as per AICTE must be met. The contractual faculty appointed with any terminology, whatever, what you call is not very important terminology that you do, but they must have taught for 2 consecutive semesters. 2 consecutive semesters, and in between the semesters there may be a break, there may not be a break. So, 2 consecutive semesters with or without break between the 2 semesters, and it must be full-time basis. They will be considered for the purpose of calculations in the faculty-student ratio. Please follow these guidelines carefully because they have an influence on how the faculty-student ratio turns out. So, or what will be the actual value, because that will carry marks. The following must be ensured in case of contractual faculty, that is what I mentioned, conditions. They must have AICTE prescribed qualifications and experience, first thing obvious, shall be appointed on full-time basis, and they must have worked for 2 consecutive semesters with or without break between the 2 semesters during the particular academic year under consideration. And even though they are contractual faculty, they should have gone through an appropriate process of selection, and the records of the same shall be made available to the visiting team during NBA visit. So, even though the appointment is contractual, it cannot be a mere ad hoc appointment appointed on the whims and fancies of someone. So, there must be a due process of selection, and that would include the evaluation, perhaps an interview board and all that, and the records of all these process implementations must be available. So, even contractual faculty must have gone through an appropriate process of selection, and faculty members in the department who do not have teaching or practical loads will not be counted. How can there be faculty? It is possible. If the faculty member is a new faculty member, perhaps for one semester they are not given any specific academic load other than maintaining some records in the department, no teaching load, no practical load. Or if it is an administrative person like the head of the department, and if there is no teaching or practical load, again that will not be considered. So, director, principal, dean, other academic administrative posts will not be considered if they have no teaching or practical load. However, if they have teaching load either in the theory or practical classes, then they will be considered. So, director, principal, head, dean, all these people would be counted in the number of faculty if they have some teaching load or load in the laboratories. And of course, we must have documentary evidence, as I mentioned again and again. Visiting faculty, adjunct faculty who are working on hourly basis will not be counted. This is very important. These are all data. Now, we will come to the actual sub-criteria and the marks allocated. 5.1 student faculty ratio or SFR, 30 marks are allocated, and this is to be calculated at the department level considering all UG and PG engineering programs in the department, including allied department programs and clusters as well as. That is, everything is treated as one unit, and then these calculations are done. For a given department, which are the allied departments or departments in the cluster, they are included in these calculations, and examples of such clusters are shown in the SCR in Annexure 3. That is only representative one. If you refer to the appropriate AIC documents, it will show the full list of these clusters. Follow those guidelines in the AICT documents to know which are all the allied departments. And then documentary evidence must be available regarding all the departmental data and the data of the allied departments. And for faculty, of course, as I mentioned, for each faculty you must have a separate file, and that includes all the related information like academic qualifications, appointment letters, timetables, the courses allocated to that faculty person, all these are available for inspection. So, this is just merely data. All UG engineering programs in the department, including allied departments or clusters. Okay. UG 1 to N, they are the N UG programs, and we are looking at only students in second year, third year and fourth year, not the first year here. Then we also have PG. For PG, both first year and second year. Again, if there are M PG programs, PG 1 to PGM. Simply list all the programs. And the only important point is it is department as well as allied departments. Now, the student faculty ratio S by F is calculated as S is number of students of all programs in the departments, including students of allied departments or clusters. So, this number of students ST is calculated as sanctioned intake as per official AICT approval letters plus actual admitted students via lateral entry. usually the diploma students are allowed to enter second year of engineering programs and they are called as lateral entry students. So, there is usually 10% cap on the lateral entry admissions, and the actual admitted students may be equal to that or less than that. So, the sanction intake plus actual admitted students via lateral entry, and some universities do permit additional admissions in the second year if there have been vacancies in the first year. Like the sanction intake is 60, but in the first year the admissions have only been 45, then there are 15 vacant seats. So, they can be carried out to the second year and they can be clubbed with the lateral entry. However, there is a cap on the total admissions that can happen in the second year. These are all the regulations merely. So, please cross check with your appropriate bodies for total, authentic and up-to-date information. So, ST is calculated like that, SA plus L. Then students admitted under supernumerary quota, okay, like economically weaker sections or supernumerary quota, they need not be considered in calculating the SFR value. We are excluding those students, supernumerary, economic weaker section quota and all that. They will be exempted. Then F is the total number of regular or contractual faculty members who satisfy all those guidelines that we have mentioned earlier, and they include allied departments and clusters as well as, okay. Because we exclude faculty who have 100% teaching load in the first year. Probably a particular faculty member, let us say in the Department of Computer Science Engineering, is exclusively allocated for first year courses, then that member is not counted. 100% teaching. If it is only fractional teaching, we do count them as fractional load. This is an example of the table, looks pretty big, but fairly simple because they have given a large number of cases because the picture should be clear. So, number of students, assuming in all these cases that the sanction intake of the program is 120, that is the assumption. So, for example, if you take, I will not go through all cases, but one or two typical important cases we can look at because they are important. Let us say case 3, number of students admitted in first year 120, that means full sanction intake has been filled up. So, there are no leftover seats, there are no unfilled seats in first year, that is 0. And number of students actually admitted in second year, L, is lateral entry admissions, which is 10% of sanction intake. So, in this case 10% of 120 is 12. So, we can have 12 lateral entry admissions, that is A, plus B is leftover seats admitted in second year. In this case, case 3, leftover seats are 0 and we could have 12 students, but only 6 got admitted. So, 120 plus 6, number of students admitted in first year, and L value which is the actual lateral entry admissions, which is 6. So, 126, that is considered as the number to be used in the student faculty ratio SFR. Okay, that is that example. Now, another interesting case would be case 5. Here number of students admitted in first year is only 75. That means that there are 45 seats which are not been filled up in first year. So, leftover seats, unfilled seats in the first year are 45 because sanction intake is 120. But the lateral entry students admitted is only 6. So, if you look at the number of students admitted in first year plus the number of students actually admitted, that is 6, that is only 81. But ST will not be taken as 81. Notice in this case ST will not be 81. It will be sanction intake 120 plus the actual lateral entry which is 6. So, it is 126. Okay. So, that is a very important way to look at how the ST is calculated. That is explained in the notes, that is all. So this is how the student information is calculated. We already mentioned all this. Total number of students of all UG and PG programs in the allied departments, that is AS. Then again the data is calculated for 3 years, CAY, CA minus 1, CA minus 2. Then S is the total number of students, DF is the faculty in the department, AF is faculty in the allied departments, and the total number of faculty is considered as DF plus AF, that is F. Then FF is the faculty members in F who have a 100% teaching load in the first year courses. They have to be removed. So 100% load of the first year, if a faculty is having, that person will not be counted. So the F minus FF, that will be taken as the faculty to appear in the denominator, and S is the total number of students appearing in the numerator. So that is how the student faculty ratio SFR is calculated. For 3 years it is calculated, 3 academic years, and the average is taken, and that value is used, and that value becomes the basis for allocating the marks. And if it is less than 15, less than or equal to 15, 30 marks. So that means that is the ideal student faculty ratio that you need to have. And then 17 to 26, 17 less than or equal to 17, then 26 marks. Like that it goes on, less than or equal to 19, 22 marks. And if the student faculty ratio is greater than 25, 0 marks. Notice that if the student faculty ratio is greater than 25, 0 marks are awarded. Okay. So we must maintain less than or equal to 25 as the student faculty ratio to get some marks. This is just an example. We will not discuss it any further. Whatever I just now explained is shown in the form of an example, and you can go through that example to see what is the value. But here the average value has come out as 19. Okay, average student faculty ratio has come out as 19. So accordingly the marks awarded will be there. So it looks pretty elaborate, but we need to understand that criterion well. The rest of them are fairly straightforward. Faculty qualifications, allocation of marks 25, and faculty qualification index is computed as 2.5 multiplied by 10x plus 4y divided by the RF. The RF is the number of faculty required in the department, including allied departments, to adhere to 20:1 student faculty ratio. So that is the norm. To adhere to that norm, what is the faculty required? That will be taken as RF. And of course here the calculations are all based on the data provided in the under 5.1 sub-criterion, which we have discussed elaborately just now. And X is the number of faculty members with PhD degree or equivalent as per AICTE UGC norms, and Y is the number of faculty with MTech or ME degree or equivalent as per AICTE UGC norms. So PhD, then ME, MTech. So 10 into number of people with PhD plus 4 into number of people with ME, MTech. So 10x plus 4y divided by required faculty and scaled by 2.5. So that becomes the faculty qualification marks. This is how the data is provided. Again, faculty of MCA, BCA, etc. are excluded. As I mentioned earlier also, if the department is running these programs, those programs must have adequate faculty to run those programs. They are not included in these calculations. Then 5.3 is faculty cadre proportion. That is, what is the ratio in which professors, associate professors and assistant professors are maintained in the department? Are they in appropriate ratio? Based on that, marks are awarded. Actually, how many faculty are there comes in student faculty ratio, but in what proportion the faculty cadre is there comes under sub-criterion 5.3. So the allocation of marks is 25. Then we look at the number of faculty required to maintain a ratio of 20:1. Then 1/9 of that should be professors. Okay. then 2 nines should be associate professors and the remaining 6 can be assistant professors. So, that is the cadre ratio that you must have, 1:2:6. Of course, the required faculty is calculated to maintain the ratio of 20:1, and based on the ratio that has to be maintained and the ratio that actually exists in the department, marks are calculated. So, this is how the calculations are done. Required faculty RF1, available faculty AF1. Required faculty based on the 1:2:6 cadre ratio, and of course the total number of faculty required. And available faculty, what is the faculty available actually in the department? For professors, for associate professors, for assistant professors, you have this data first. So, RF1, AF1 regarding professors, RF2, AF2 regarding associate professors, RF3, AF3 regarding assistant professors. Then you calculate a faculty cadre proportion marks as available faculty by required faculty. That ratio you take. For professors, you take the ratio as it exists. For associate professors, that ratio is scaled by 0.6, AF2 by RF2 into 0.6. Then for assistant professors, the ratio is scaled by 0.4, AF3 by RF3 into 0.4. So, this total value is calculated and that is multiplied by 12.5. That becomes faculty cadre proportion marks. Here there are some few interesting remarks that you should make, in the sense that AF3 by RF3, if it is more than 1, that is we have more assistant professors available faculty than the required one, then that number can go up. And when you multiply it by 12.5, the value can go up even if you do not have professors or associate professors, but that is not permitted. There are some kind of restrictions on how this formula is to be used. So, one must be very careful about these restrictions. Okay. So, first restriction is, if there are no professors and no associate professors, that means AF1 is equal to AF2 is equal to 0, then independent of how many assistant professors are there in the department, the marks awarded would be 0. So, AF3 by RF3 into 0.4 calculation goes null and void. The total marks awarded will become simply 0. You must have at least one professor or associate professor for the ratios to work. Then the maximum marks is limited to 25 if they exceed the allocated marks. If you have more number of professors and associate professors than required, then it is possible that when that number is calculated, we get value more than 25. If that happens, it is restricted only to 25. Two examples are given for these two cases. AF by 1 by RF 1 equal to 1 and then AF2 by RF2 equal to 1. Both we have assistant professors, associate professors and professors in the required ratio, and assistant professors also. Then you get the maximum marks, which is 25. 1 plus 0.6 plus 0.4 into 12.5, 25. Then another case, we have slightly different ratios. AF2 by RF2 is 4 by 2, that means we have more associate professors than the required ones. Then the faculty cadre proportion marks, when you compute, it will come out as 32, but we will limit it to only 25. Similarly, whatever be the AF3 value, if AF1 and AF2 are both 0, that means 0 professors or 0 associate professors both, that is neither associate professors nor professors exist in the department, then it is 0 marks. So, you must be careful about computing these numbers when you try to evaluate how many marks you are going to get for your program. This is the just notes which I explained to you. Then 5.4 is visiting adjunct faculty professors of practice. There are 10 marks allocated. So provide all the details, participation and contributions in teaching, learning processes or practical work or any special lectures by the visiting adjunct, emeritus faculty, professors of practice from industry, all these things you include. Okay. Regarding professors of practice, the academic qualification requirements are relaxed as per the AICTE guidelines, but the experience and the seniority of these people does matter. So, we can appoint professors of practice from industry or research organizations and reputed institutions, as well as we can have retired professors during the assessment period. Do we have a provision, first of all, do we have regulations at the institute level which allows the department to engage such faculty? There must be some regulation approved by the appropriate authorities. If there is such a provision, it does carry some marks weights. Then for their contributions to be counted, minimum of 50 hours per year of interaction with adjunct faculty from the industry or research, this is required. Okay, 9 marks are given. So this minimum of 50 hours of interaction in a year will result in 3 marks for that year. So per year there are 3 marks for 50 hours of interaction, a minimum interaction of 50 years. Then if such a thing happens over all the 3 years, you get the maximum marks, that is 9 plus 110. Of course, if you have such a visiting adjunct faculty for only 2 years, then naturally 2 into 3, 6 plus 1, 7 marks you will get. And of course, if you have less than 50 hours per year, then there are no marks awarded. And of course, there are generally some queries whether it can be spread over both the semesters or it must be in one semester, etc. The guideline says only per year. Okay, in an academic year, the interaction should be at least for 50 hours. That is the guideline, what it says. So, in the table, you provide the details, name of the person, designation, and which course they participated in, how many hours they handled. Then we come to the final criterion 5.5, which is faculty retention. Again, this is an extremely important criterion that the department must observe, and in fact several visiting committees have found that many institutes have very high attrition rate of the faculty, thus they tend to lose marks under this sub-criterion. It's not only important to have adequate faculty, but to ensure that the faculty stays with the department. That is, the department is able to provide enough attractions for the faculty to retain them for longer periods. So, the less the faculty attrition, the greater is the attraction of the department for the faculty to remain, and that is an important criterion. There are 10 marks allocated, and the evaluation guidelines are as shown first here. RF is the required number of faculty. The available faculty is split into A, B, C, D, E. There are 5 categories. Those with less than 1 year experience is labeled as A, less than 1. Between 1 and 2 labeled as B, 2 and 3 labeled as C, and 3 and 4 labeled as D, and more than 4 years is labeled as E. So, if E value is high, it means that the faculty retention is high. In fact, the higher are the numbers for E, D, C, etc., higher is the retention value of the department. That is why they are weighed more. So, the actual value of FR, faculty retention, is calculated as E into 4. If they have been with the department for more than 4 years, that number is weighed by 4. If it is D, the weightage comes down, only 3 is the weight, multiplied weight. And if it is 2, only 2. And if it is a B, there is only 1 as the multiplier. And it is very important, if it is A, the multiplier is 0, which means that you can have available faculty as equal to required faculty, AF is equal to RF, but all the faculty available are in the category A, that is with less than 1 year experience. then what happens? B, C, D, E, they all are zeros, and all your faculty are less than 1 year experienced faculty, that they all are youngsters, then your A value is the only available faculty that is equal to required faculty. The department has adequate faculty, but they are all young, less than 1 year experience. Then what happens is, under faculty retention, the value becomes whatever is the A, that is multiplied by 0, and rest of them B, C, D, E are anyway 0, so you get 0 marks. So it is possible that in a department we have adequate faculty in terms of numbers, but still faculty retention value is 0. So one must be careful to ensure that the faculty provides attractive incentives, the department provides attractive incentives for the faculty to remain with the department. So that is how the faculty retention ratio is computed, and again it is taken for 3 years and the average is taken, and the total, if it exceeds 10, then it is restricted to only 10. When can it exceed? When the total faculty is greater than the required faculty, the number can exceed 10. Fine, it is great, but then the marks are limited to only 10. Okay. So that is the final criterion of faculty retention ratio. This is what just now what I explained, the notes are given. Again, MCA, BCA faculty are excluded, that is standard for all the sub criteria. Okay. So this is how the calculations are done. This is just one example of different values of A, B, C, D, E, and how the calculations come up. In the first CAY M1 case, it has come to 9.97, so the maximum marks is 10. But if you see the CAY M2, then the required faculty is only 117, but we have the available faculty is 124. Okay. So the ratio can become as 10.32. However, it is restricted to 10. This is the second case I mentioned, where the available faculty is more than the required faculty. And CAY -3, the example shows a value which comes to 9.93. So we take the average of these three, and that becomes the faculty retention ratio. So as you can see, every calculation under this criterion can be done by the department itself, and it can assess how many marks it is going to get under this criterion 5, okay, because everything is based on factual data and objective formulae. Okay. So that completes our discussion of faculty information, and in the next week we look at the SAR requirements of criteria 6, 7 and 8, okay, which are related to faculty contributions, then laboratory and support staff facilities, then continuous improvement and these things like that. So in the next week we look at the SAR requirements of criteria 6, 7 and 8. Thank you. We will meet again next week. Thank you. Thank you.